I don't know. Do we have the calls?
Absolutely, Jakari. Look at that. Jakari, which means friend of callers. Let's go to Dean in Virginia. Thanks for holding her on the air. Hello, Dean. It's a good thing I didn't go to him. He's not there. I wanted to hear what Dean had to say. John, are you there up at the network? Yeah, we've lost talk back to the network in Minnesota. So that's what that reason we may not be able to take callers. So, see, it's magic. Again, Genesis, can you hear me? Have we even been off the air a while, or who even knows what's going on? All right, yeah, we're reconnecting with the network. And I want to hear what you have to say, Dean, so don't oh, the call system is locked up in here. So that's why we got to keep scanning like we're air traffic controllers. Scanning, scanning, scanning.
Well, let's talk about this constitutional sheriff stuff. I mean, you know, we need to get behind these sheriffs. We need to have someone who is going to stand with the law. And, you know, we don't need the Supreme Court to tell us what the meaning of not be infringed is. We pretty well can understand that. Yeah. And, you know, going all the way back to when this was the first idea came out here, Marbury versus Madison, that was where they established the fact that they were going to have the Supreme Court review all the laws. That was not an established fact. Jefferson attacked that from the very beginning and said, if you do that, you've turned the Constitution into a suicide pact. Let me read a quote from him. He says right here, in denying the right they usurp of exclusively explaining the Constitution, and he's saying that the Supreme Court should not exclusively explain the Constitution, he says, intending to establish 3 departments, coordinate and independent, that they may check and balance one another, it's been given according to this opinion, that is Marbury versus Madison, to one of them alone, that is the Supreme Court, the right to prescribe rules for the government of the others, and to that one too, which is unelected by and independent of the nation. In other words, these are politically appointed judges that are going to stand over and have final say-so over every law. And Jefferson said that was not the checks and balances that we had for the federal government. Certainly isn't the checks and balances that are there with the people and with the states. And that's what the 10th Amendment is about. It says rights that have not been expressly, or powers that...
Yeah, hey, hold on one second. I got to be engineer on air, too. Hey, guys, I've lost connection to the network, and I guess I need to get some intel on that. What's going on, network? We're being hit by denial of service? All right. All right, well, I just want to get on the phone with you and make sure that was happening. All right, I'm engineer, too. All right, thanks. Wonder why we can't go to the phone calls. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, the bottom line is that, you know, what Acevedo was saying when he attacked the constitutional sheriffs was he was saying, you know, you have to do everything that the Supreme Court says. Well, the Supreme Court and everyone at the federal level is subordinate to the Constitution. And
so what if we got a gang of 9? What if a foreign government got kids like sleeper cells, which is why we said you had to be natural born here to be president? That used to happen in Europe. What if you got a Manchurian Supreme Court that then said you have to sacrifice your children on their 5th birthday? Oh, well, that's the Supreme Court. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, which never fully got enforced, i.e. slavery and stuff, until people did enforce it. Right. You see? People say the Constitution Bill of Rights failed because they hate it because it's the best thing ever created in history. And
talking about the Bill of Rights, there's a lady, I'm not sure if we have it in our clips or not, but she had a sign that said, what amendment protects our children from the Second Amendment? And I'm like, how many times have you been saved or somebody in your family has been saved, or even if you didn't know it, just because, let's say a police officer comes up, they're not afraid of the police officer, they're afraid of the gun on his hip. You know, that's why when the police officer pulls out the gun, the people start running. But, you know, for some reason, it's the Second Amendment's fault.
Yeah.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. Kent in Mississippi, then Paul, Mark, and Sean. Kent, thanks for holding. You're on the air. Welcome.
Alex, how you doing?
Good, sir. Welcome.
All right, I just got a couple points I just wanted to make. Just been awake for a few years now, and I go to work every single day preaching, trying to show people just search engine, Operation Northwoods, Gladio, Ajax, etc. The UN, David Spangler. No one will enter the New World Order without taking a Luciferian pledge. Why can't people understand? AKA the New World Order. They're taking over the planet.
I've gone to the congressional record seeing these famous quotes, and they're in there going, "We will have to pay for the New World Order in blood. We pledge to Lucifer." I mean, these people are crazy.
Well, let's look at. I was just going to say, you made that montage. I think it was last week or the week before, and people keep saying there's no New World Order, and you lined up all these clips showing that all these people have called for a New World Order or a world government,
which defines as a world government.
Yeah.
And then Joe Biden goes, "I want a New World Order," but it doesn't exist.
Pretty much.
Well, let's look at the UN Arms Trade Treaty. This is something that they've been planning for quite some time. They had this coming up for a vote in July, but they were still really getting hit with this Fast and Furious scandal, right? So they pushed that and they said, we'll do that after the election.
And then they ran the false flags.
Right.
What does your gut tell you about Sandy Hook and Aurora?
Oh, I think they're false. Yeah, I think they're false flags. The timing was just too suspicious. They did that 1 week exactly before they were going to have the UN vote.
Well, they should have gotten better actors, too.
Yeah, it did. It didn't really.
The worst actors I've ever seen.
It didn't really overcome the narrative and the news that was going on with Fast and Furious, because the Republicans were really hitting that for political gain just before the election. So they said, we're going to come back after the election. So abruptly, I was up there at the UN. We were filming just for this very issue with another group, and they pulled it out abruptly. Like 2 days before, they said, that's it. We're going to come back after the election. They came back the very day of the election, and they were ready to do this in the lame duck session if they needed to. But because Obama and the Democrats were having a good election, they said, we're going to revisit this in March when they've got even stronger.
And magically, what came next?
Yeah, and the thing about Sandy Hook is when we went out to the this recent rally, we were asking Acevedo and even some other people, and Sandy Hook was the thing that nobody really wanted to talk about. Every time we brought the question to someone's like, well, I don't know too much about that shooting. I don't know too much about that shooting, but I'll tell you about Virginia Tech. I'll tell you about the Aurora shooting. And I was like, why doesn't anybody want to talk about Sandy Hook when it's the new thing that's pushing the new agenda out there?
Well, I mean, most of those people, because I've been to literally, let's not exaggerate, 20 of the 10 bureaucrat marches. And I mean, it's all either kind of mental patients they bring along, or it's government workers, or it's actual globalist agents.
Oh, yeah. And I think the reason they didn't want to talk about Sandy Hook when they're pushing their registration agenda, I mean, this is the guy who, regardless if you believe the official story says that the guy stole the firearm from his mother. And they don't want to talk about that. Can you say, well, if you get stricter background checks, how's it going to stop a guy from stealing a gun? They don't want to bring that up. And I think that's
incredible. Infowars Nightly News, 7 o'clock Central tonight. I'm hosting it. These guys will be in there with more news and commentary. But we're going to go to Overdrive, and I promise I'm going to shut up and go to Mark and Sean and Paul and Ron and a few others. Ron in New York, the retired cop. I need to call him. He's got some good intel for me. I got his number in my cell phone. We're doing a couple segments of Overdrive here. Some stations carry it. For years, I did a 4th hour, went back to 3 hours, so I can do the nightly news. Let's go to your phone calls. Sha'Carri Jackson's in here with us, along with David Knight. And in the next segment, let's talk about one of our new reporters in the report that's coming out tonight. This is pretty hilarious, but also pretty scary, pretty bombshell. Let's go to Mark in Pennsylvania. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Guys, get your pen and paper. I'm calling you from Philadelphia, but I'm originally from Missouri, southern Missouri, Springfield to be precise. There's something happening in Missouri right now. A couple of guys put together a Second Amendment Preservation Act. It's House Bill 436, Senate Bill 325. And the 10th Amendment Center is calling it some of the most powerful legislation to come from any state in a long time concerning the Second Amendment, but also related to the 10th Amendment. And here's why. Effectively, if you read the detail of the bills, it effectively nullifies the Firearms Control Acts of 1968 and 1934. I've been trying to get the word out to as many people as primarily Missourians to let them know to call their representatives, call their state senators, and hammer this down, because this could be breakthrough legislation not only for Missouri, but for the rest of the states to follow suit.
Sounds good to me. I mean, look, I called for the Second American Revolution 6 months ago, and I said it'd be a states' rights movement, not to destroy the Republic, but to recapture the Republic and then re-upload it. It's like we got to kick the virus out and then re-upload the software.
Exactly. It's what we were just talking about before. We've got to get behind constitutional sheriffs, and we've got to get behind state legislators who are going to stand for the Constitution, and more importantly, are going to stand for our individual rights, which transcend even the Constitution. The Constitution recognizes
it. Only points out, like the 9th Amendment says, hey, all rights not listed here doesn't mean they don't exist. I mean, it's
yeah, that's the thing. They want to make your rights a privilege, as David keeps alluding to.
Absolutely, man. That's a great point, caller. A great point, Mark. I hope that you'll and don't just count on us to know about something. Shoot a YouTube video. Yeah, it's like the Veritas Project guy said. Very successful targeting the globalist, and he said, "Look, we need other people to do this. This is what's going to beat them."
Right.
And we need to just, Obama's like, swarm them. I need you to help me get the guns. That's because they don't have the people. I mean, literally, Obama's supporters on average, and again, I'm not a Republican. Republicans act like they're constitutional, have a lot of better ideas, but they're sold out and controlled. With the Democrats, I mean, you've got to be really dumb to want to be a communist. I mean, you've got to be really dumb to, and I think these clips get thrown away after you use them, like that state rep. I mean, these people are really dumb. What do you do when idiots are running things?
Well, half of, well, I won't say half, but a good portion of his supporters aren't even real, because we've shown those reports about how the Twitter followers and all this other stuff is cooked up.
70+% of Obama's are fake.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're not all there, but they get people like these mom groups every now and then to go out there and do a little dirty work for them.
Well, we'll check those out. That's Missouri, and it's House Bill 436 and Senate Bill 235.
Absolutely, Mark. Anything else?
Well, I just also a friend of mine put together a website. It's 1776trumps1984.com, and you can find out more information. People can go there and download the flyer. They can pass them out. It's a pretty neat flyer. It's got a colonial guy with the AK-47.
I wonder where you thought of that. 1776 Trumps 1984. I love it. We ought to come up with a weird card deck that has like stuff like that on it. Not just here's the bad New World Order guy, but like funny stuff, you know. All right, brother. Good to hear from you. I'm going to check that site out. And again, please, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to break, come back and do another segment with your calls for Sean and Ron and Paul and Alex and everybody with our guest host here. It's fun having you guys ride shotgun with me.
Yeah, it's an interesting day.
A day long remembered. We've seen the end of Kenobi. We'll soon see the end of the rebellion. All right, I'm going to stop it. I get a little dingy, Jakari.
I know.
Can you imagine someday, Jakari, not even knowing you're on the air, not even caring?
I can see that day coming, yeah. Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at InfoWarsStore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water bottle and the RAD Eliminator Pro filtered sports bottle that removes radiation. And keep in mind, we have replacement filters for all of these products. The ever-popular grab-and-go bag favorite, the Life Straw, the Crystal Quest shower filter system, and the Aquapod kit, great for mass storage of water. And while you're at the InfoWars shop, pick up a copy of our latest book, 31 Days to Survival. You can find all this and more at the InfoWarsStore.com, and don't forget, it's your support that funds our operation. Sign up for our free newsletter at Infowars.com/newsletter.
Don't act so surprised, Your Highness. You weren't on the Mercy mission this time. Several transmissions were beamed to this ship. I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you. This is a diplomatic ship. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just having fun.
Spot on.
Why not have some fun while these gun-grabbing bastards are running all over us, lying to us? You know what makes me the maddest? If they said, we are here to enslave you, lay down your arms or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
But then we'd organize and defeat them. Instead of saying, we want to be your friend. No one wants to take your guns. Well, get little bastards got as soon as we can. Oh, hi, we're your friends. I mean, I'm sick of these people.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Yeah. And that's what we saw at this rally. That's what we saw everywhere at this rally. I don't want your guns, right? And then we had the one Martinez said he did.
And then everybody cheering. It's like, yeah, if we can get the guns, we'll take them. Yeah, we'll take them.
Yeah.
And they want to live like Chicago or New York. They love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's understand that they're talking about taking due process from people right now with these registration bills. They're going to take that due process and, quote-unquote felons, okay? People who let go of balloons.
It's like, oh, just felons, and by the way, get ready to process.
Or even people who are alleged to be felons, like Antonio
Buehler.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep losing his last name there.
No, he said everybody always makes fun of him and goes, Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller from the Ferris Bueller.
I mean, that's what it looks like if you look at the guy's name.
I know. Everybody I know says you pronounce it Bueller, but he goes, no, it's Bueller. So it's like potato, patata.
Right.
But he got
it's like Brett Favre is really Fabergé or something.
Well, not that fancy, but you're on the right track.
But Antonio Buehler didn't cave, and he started an organization here in Austin too. So I mean that you know,
no, he's taking action. I admire what he's doing. I was being sarcastic with him. I think he almost thought I was being serious.
Yeah, no.
I was in here teasing him.
But we need to realize that the guy that was the antagonist in this story, where he was unjustly persecuted, was our own Art Acevedo. The guy who said, "Don't worry, you've got nothing to fear. We come."
Well, that's why the feds like him. They're like, "Wow, look at this guy."
Yeah.
He's like, "Never mind this knife. I'm sliding into your freedom." Oh, isn't that? See, it's air conditioned. It's cold blade, isn't it? And your body's going to be cold here politically, real quick. Let me just draw this razor across your neck, America. I'm nice. I don't want it to be Cuba. I want it to be a new authoritarian state I run. That's Art Acevedo.
Meanwhile, we got families that have to escape to Cuba now in today's America.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
this is last week.
Because Cuba doesn't like to CPS your kids unless you really abused them.
That's right.
It's like we've outstretched them. Okay, let's go to calls here. Let's talk to Sean in Canada, then Ron in New York while I'm gibbering. Go ahead, and Paul and others. Go ahead, Sean.
How you doing, Alex? Great to talk to you. I'm a longtime listener, recent Prison Planet TV member, political science graduate, and thanks to you, I graduated with a stellar average. You really invigorated my interest in politics.
Most impressive.
Well, God bless you, man. Before you, I thought, history had been written, and like so many people, I thought we were at the end of history in a way. You know, there was nothing new to discover. There were no secrets, and everything was hunky-dory. And it's just, you've opened my eyes to a whole new world, and it's well,
that's what I love to hear. I don't wake people up. We're the opposite of a cult. Cults tell you this is how it is. You must only believe this. We say, open your eyes. Look at this. And that's what will defeat the globalists. Because the New World Order is a cult. You've got to buy into their delusional lies. Go ahead, sir. What was your comment today?
Tell you. Sorry?
Dispense with the pleasantries.
Oh, yes, excuse me, sorry. So I live in Canada, and it's just, I'm a huge constitutionalist. I mean, like I said, I got my degree in poli-sci. I lived in New York City. I have family in America. I love the U.S. Constitution Bill of Rights. I think it's the greatest document that the world has ever seen written by men. And, I try to reach out to everybody. I tell all my friends, I talk to my friends, and everybody is just so close-minded, trusting, and naive. And they cannot wrap their heads around the fact.
Well, remember,
that
zombies have never. Well, these are people brought up to television. They just kind of are in a daze, literal brainwaves now, and so they're tuned into suspended disbelief. So it's like like the light. They're like, scary. They think of it as work. They haven't taken it personal yet that they're being enslaved. But it doesn't matter. It's always a minority that doesn't want to be enslaved and that stands up. So don't feel bad, because some areas you run into, the majority's awake. And then you run in another area, believe me, you're not a public figure. If you were Alex Jones, and it's not bragging, hey, I'm a big shot, everywhere I go, people come up. I mean, you've seen it. Yeah. I mean, now to the point of, like, I can't even go on the hike and bike trail. Like, I can't go to Barton Springs. I can't go to Mexico. People come up to me. And believe me, folks, they're out there. That's why you should wear an Infowars.com T-shirt, because then you'll meet like-minded people, plus it funds the operation. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Well, one of the things is, when you look at these articles from CNN and other places, they don't usually have a reference to the other documents. When you look at an Infowars article and we talk about something like ammunition purchases, we're going back and we're linking directly to those purchases so you can see it for yourself. You know, you can Google it. You don't even, we've got the links there so people can see the documents, and they still deny it.
Every year in August, they have articles in every local paper. I read them this year, or now I guess last year, saying, it's the law. You must take the vaccines, and there's no side effects. No links, obviously it's a newspaper, no bibliograph, according to such and such. You go online, the same thing on the newspaper. You go to our article, hundreds of university links, how it's going to kill you, the copy of the insert.
Right.
I mean,
I don't know, they just like to say stuff about it. It's like, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, somebody wrote a hit piece on you. They said, Alex Jones has reported that TSA hires defrocked priest. And, like, we have the article, it's on Infowars right now, but they didn't link to that. They claim that you made that statement, but did not link to it. And that's the kind of things that they do.
Well, even patriot groups 10 years later go, Jones claims he has footage of FEMA teaching the Founding Fathers are bad. I have where it was, Kansas City, the video, and the manual, and news articles about it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've shown those clips.
They want to call us paranoid. They want to say we're making stuff up. Bring it on. We'll show them links.
I mean, look at this right here. Time columnist warning others about government oppression is anti-American crap. They cannot have a debate about how this is an authoritarian takeover.
Right.
They want to label cyanide mommy's milk. Sean, anything else?
I wanted to say that every single legislator involved in voting for these bills and whatnot, in trying to institute gun control, is literally committing treason. I was reading an essay by a constitutional lawyer that I got off Oath Keepers. I've joined them as well.
No, I mean, it is treason. It is sedition. I don't get up here. Look, it's criminal to knowingly get up there and lie and try to register guns with a plan to confiscate them. It is organized government fraud. That has a name. Tyranny. Thanks for the call. Ron in New York, then Paul in New Jersey. Ron, you're on the air, sir. Is this the retired cop that gives me so much good info?
Yes, it is.
And by the way, I'm going to try to call you today. I know I got your number and you've got some inside intel. I've been meaning to call you. I've just run out of time. What's your point on the orgy of evil you've been seeing?
Well, here, case in point, in the state of New York, the other big shoe is dropped. We've now had the first case in the state of New York where the state police have ordered the seizure of somebody's firearms who's a pistol permit holder because he has some months past taken medication, a psychotropic medication for anxiety, even though the man was not deemed dangerous or mental defective or anything of that nature, has a completely clean background.
They push it on you like drug dealers at a schoolyard, and now they're announcing, that's our article you're talking about that's on Drudge, that they're coming for our guns. And look, thank God I've never been on anything. I mean, I had a surgery and didn't want to take the opiate pills because they made me sick. You ain't got nothing on me, dirtbag government. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Ron.
It's something they had absolutely no legal right to do. This is the suspicion that the police cross-reference a list of pistol permit holders with what we have in New York State, and you'll soon have in the nation with Obamacare, a medical prescription database.
That's in there, and it was for the gun confiscation. They're going to declare us all mentally defective.
And what Ron just described is exactly what Acevedo wants to do here in Austin, in Texas.
But, we're supposed to like it, and we're conspiracy theorists. Even though the mayor pro tem is up there saying, we'll get your guns. I'll get you registered and your little dog, too.
Pretty much. I just got an email the other day from a guy. I can't remember where he was, but he said he called his mom talking about he was mildly depressed because he lost his job. And then the SWAT team showed up at his house, demanding that he come outside and turn in his firearm.
This happened to G. Gordon Liddy's producer like 15 years ago. She answered a survey or something that had her address on it and got put in for like a month. Gorgeous model, producer, famous, and just they wrecked her life. This is the secret police. This is an industry that wants. They're not just going to CPS little kids. They're going to CPS adults.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's their cult. They had a Democratic Party operative in Psychology Today write a big cover story about how I'm insane. Yeah, insanely free, insanely alive. You're insanely politically dead. You're a pathetic creature. And he says I'm mentally ill.
Well, that was always a tactic of Stalin and other dictators to say that people were insane and to commit them without any due process, because people will stand for a lesser due process if you accuse somebody of being insane or you say that they're on a dangerous drug, and yet we want to put the people who are prescribing these dangerous drugs in charge of determining who is sane.
Well, there is a cult of white robes. The court, in your pleadings, you worship to it, you pray. For the folks that don't know, you pray in the pleading. You start praying in pleadings, you start winning. All these modern lawyers don't know it's about worshiping, the court. It's a Roman court, basically, is what they've superimposed over our common law. So you worship the judge, you pray to the judge, you pray to the court. You can even throw some more stuff in there, and they'll really get excited. Because it's like ancient commands. But the whole point is, I don't know why I even went off into that whole story, is that now it's not even going to be courts. They're just going to take your guns.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's what they want.
Ron, anything else you want to add?
Yes, there's quite a bit else I'd like to add. There was now with the UN Arms Treaty, okay?
We're going to skip this break. Go ahead. We're going to skip this break. Go ahead.
It's immaterial whether or not they ratify that treaty, because the domestic laws that are presently being discussed in Congress comport with what is called for in the UN
No,
Arms
that's
Treaty.
why they're trying to get it through. But I've read the treaty. It points to the directives in other agreements. We've done countless reports on this that says the state can have government. The state can have guns, not the people. So it says we don't interfere with state rights to guns, but state is defined as the United States. Go ahead. Go ahead, David. You want to say something?
But the fact...
No, go ahead. Let Ron go.
The fact is, gentlemen, that whether they ratify that treaty or not, if this legislation that's being proposed and is supposedly going to be voted on in the U.S. Senate tomorrow passes, they get what they want. It's all the same thing in the end, and they know what they're doing. Now, another thing, too, that I've just about had it with, and I think it's time that we be brave enough to step up as men and say this, we are an insensitive beast, but I believe 5 months of mindless emotionalism thrown at me constantly showing the families or so forth of Newtown is a bit enough. This is a social policy issue that should be thought through intelligently.
Well, they're waving the bloody shirt. I appreciate your call, Ron. They're obviously 100% shamelessly doing this. I mean, it's about making us the bad guys. Hitler demonized groups before he went after him. Every authoritarian does this. We're being demonized.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that's the most ammunition they have, is to just wave these kids, to bring the kids on stage and, hey, kids, what do you think about gun laws? I would really like Obama to ask, hey, kids, what do you think about these drones killing other kids in the other parts of the world? I really wish you'd ask those kids that.
Well, what Ron was saying about the UN Arms Trade Treaty is exactly right. I think that this has been the target all along, is registration. They talked about confiscation, and Feinstein is a master of misdirection. You know, she did that with the NDAA. She told people that she came up with a Feinstein-Lee amendment that said we're going to take out the bad sections of the NDAA that violate civil liberties and deny due process and turn this into a military court instead of a civilian court. And then they just removed it arbitrarily. You know, McCain...
Or then they come back and go, this is the new NDAA, we're going to restrict it, and then it gets rid of posse comitatus.
Right. So she's been involved in this kind of misdirection.
Let me treat that bullet wound. Boom, boom, boom. And it's like...
She's been involved in this kind of misdirection before, and this is about registration. This arms trade treaty focuses on the transfer of weapons across borders. And they said the only way that we can do that is if we identify and register guns and gun owners.
That's right. The states have to agree to control the guns within their borders.
So just like Agenda 21, the UN comes up and they have this other, I can't remember it right off the top of my head.
Legal framework.
Yeah, they create these legal frameworks.
UNIDIR.
Just like they do with Agenda 21, and then they have the individual countries enact this. So they're coming at it from both directions. They're coming at it with domestic legislation, and they're coming at it with the treaty, because they're not going to take a chance that they're going to lose on this registration. And if we say that we won because we beat them back from confiscation and all we got was registration, that was what they were after all.
Absolutely. And again, it's two-sided. They're not only trying to get us registered for confiscation, a bunch of states already taking them, and home inspections and all this. Internationally, it's about not letting little countries get arms to protect themselves from the UN death force.
Right.
And if folks don't know, the UN's the greatest mass murderers over time the world's ever seen. Mao has the highest number, then Stalin, and then Hitler. Well, I actually go Stalin, Lenin, Hitler. But the UN continually just is murdering, slaughtering, raping, lining people up, shooting them. But Angelina Jolie says they love your kids. Let's go to a phone call. Paul in New Jersey. You're on the air, Paul. Welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Yeah, well, you're talking about Fast and Furious. Well, that's the guns for the drug dealers, our drug dealers. They give them... That's their supply. They give them the guns, and they shoot the people who are trying to stop them down there. That's when he shot the 200 Mexicans and one of our INSA.
Well, I mean, it's actually, sir, it's actually in the thousands. They say conservatively 400. It's thousands and thousands of dead Mexicans with the Fast and Furious stuff. Hundreds here, at least 3 cops, Border Patrol and a cop. You're absolutely right. Imagine, it's not about Fast and Furious anymore and all those dead kids. It's about how Obama actually, and Holder and the rest of them, shipped the guns down there to blame the Second Amendment, and now they flipped it around and gone, oh, you know, the Congress won't even have a vote. Why are you doing that to the family? And it's so transparent. I mean, I watch the public, and they are just so... timid and weak. I even see like big tough guys, you know, I'll sit there and watch people in public, and they're even insecure about what people think about them. I mean, you guys aren't like that. I guess because you're in the media and have gotten over it or whatever. I guess I got over it. But it's just everybody's so pathetic. I mean, it's like, it's so obvious. A bunch of slime is using these dead kids and probably ran the whole thing.
And the magnitude of the people that have died and these other issues, like you're talking about Fast and Furious and other places, even Obama's drone strikes. I mean, we point out the hypocrisy of all of this to, yes, it's terrible that these children have died. But to take these 20 children, why are their lives so much more special that we talk about that for months and months and months,
sure,
and overturn our Constitution and ignore these other children who have died orders of magnitude?
It's a giant psych warfare operation, and it's backfiring. I can look at it politically, but also in my gut tell they're freaked out, and they're going to do some more shootings. That's the big problem. They could stage one any day now, and they've got all sorts of mental patients wound up right now with the guns, trying to get them to go into school.
And they keep saying the kids, and, you know, remember last year the big Coney 2012 deal, and like, we got to go in Africa and save the kids from this guy who's probably been dead for 10+ years.
Now hadn't been seen for 7, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it was last week, the week before, they had the kid for the Free Syrian Army running around with the AK-47, throwing dynamite around, and nobody seemed to care about that.
No. It's like they're trying to give everybody multiple personalities. You have a personality that cares about violence and bad things, but they trigger it when they want. But then your other personality laughs at it. It's like, hey, we killed 1 million Iraqis over the last 15 years. It's terrible. I'm like, shut up, traitor.
Well, you know, part of it might be that if you kill 500,000 kids in Iraq with your sanctions and you say it's worth it, like Madeleine Albright did, people can't get their head around that. But if you get them 26 kids, and you show the parents, and you show the faces, and you do it over and over and over again, now that's a tragedy.
You made me just think, you ought to do a stand-up deal for the news tonight, where, you know, like you point out her, what was it, on NBC going, I think it was worth it, 500,000 dead kids. And she's admired. When Zbigniew Brzezinski goes up on stage, he's a rock star, because he's killed so many people. But what they admire is he did it by funding other groups. He brags in his books, I couldn't kill 30% of the Cambodians. But I funded the groups to get it done. And they're like, oh, that's really slick. Because them, it's like English in pool or something. You know, it's like, ooh, and they admire it. Oh, you're so manly. It's like Richard Pearl, known as the Prince of Darkness one time, was in the New York Times. But they were saying how cool it was. He walked up to a bunch of women, good-looking women at a party. The guy weighs like 400 pounds, you know, giant black circles around his eyes. I mean, I do too. But the point is, he walks up and goes, I order strikes. I kill people. And even these evil women slaughtered the New World Order were turned off by the fact it's not cool to go, I kill people.
Right.
And that guy couldn't kill anybody, you know, with his bare hands if his life depended on it.
Right.
I mean, it's just a big fat wimp thinking killing people's cool.
And then we got his Republican counterpart, Kissinger, right?
Yeah.
The counterpart to Brzezinski. And WikiLeaks had a document leaked this week that said, the illegal we do immediately, the unconstitutional takes a little longer. That's why they're dragging this thing out. They know it's unconstitutional, and it is. It's registration.
And plus, when they change the original laws, it wrecks societies. I mean, we're going to become like Mexico or North Korea very quickly. They get rid of this, nothing's going to work anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they realize that, though. I mean, you got so many people there, they're going off emotion instead of common sense.
Well, sure, the grassroots morons don't, but the technocrats do. They're all getting offshore islands with private security details. I mean, this is how you destroy civilization. Tyrants destroy civilization. Rome fell from within. And it's just they have no vision. And these people are out of control. Alex in Illinois, last caller we have time for. Apologize to the loaded phones. Alex, you're on the air. Take us out.
All right, you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hello, Mr. Jones and friends. This is Alex from Chirac.
Transform and roll out. Sorry.
It's all good. I spoke with you regarding the bottom of the rabbit hole, and you gave a very eloquent, passionate response.
Yeah, that's on PrisonPlanet.tv if you want to see it again.
Yeah, I saw that under the rants. But I think the rabbit hole is akin to the abyss. When you look at the bottom of the abyss or the rabbit hole, you see yourself reflected. And with the modernized genocide of the individual and the motives behind these banksters and New World Order members, I think we must look to the problems within to solve the problems outside. Primarily, when is enough enough? Is it ever going to be enough? And what sins of human beings are causing this rot in the apple?
Now, you're a great caller. Listen to this. Stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon. But if they mean to have a war, let it begin here. And that was the militia captain, John Parker, at Lexington Green on April 19, 1776. Or was it 1775? The point is, I'm going from memory there because I can't see the quote up on Infowars.com. We have that front page image of the Oath Keeper. They were trying to block his sign.
Yeah.
And there he is. And that's why they were so freaked out by it. You know, stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon. But they're already firing in our water, our vaccines, our food. The war's already begun, to quote Patrick Henry. It's an info war. They want to make it physical because they're losing this one. Join us tonight, 7 o'clock Central. Get your friends and family to watch. 7 o'clock Central, Infowars Nightly News.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com.
Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high-performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants.
So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.